Hello and welcome to Worldview at the Hindu with me, Suhasini Heather. This week, a big fight at the top of the world, quite literally, as the US and China squared off ahead of talks in Alaska.
Washington says it will pull no punches. Beijing says it doesn't have high expectations.
Relations between the United States and China will face a new test.
Now, the US-China meeting between US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Beijing's top diplomat Yang Jiechi, who's also the Chinese Communist Party Politburo member, as well as director of its Foreign Affairs Commission, they were accompanied by US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, as well as Chinese Foreign Minister and State Councillor Wang Yi, respectively. It was never going to be easy. Remember, the US and China have had icy ties for some time, through the Trump era, in fact, over trade tariffs, 5G telecommunication issues, tech espionage that the US accuses China of, Chinese actions in the South China Sea, and then US sanctions on China, also shutting down of the Chinese consulate in Houston. All of this was made worse over the coronavirus pandemic that the US squarely blamed China for. In fact, Mr. Trump called it the China virus, much to China's protests. And then after President Biden assumed office, the US made it clear that human rights concerns would also be high on its agenda. These are, of course, what China considers internal issues. Now, in the run-up to this meeting specifically, Mr. Biden held the Quad Summit, and then his officials, Mr. Blinken, Lloyd Austin, the US Secretary of Defense, Kurt Campbell, his point person, the Indo-Pacific Policy Coordinator, fanned out to Tokyo, to Seoul, to Canberra, to Delhi as well, making the point at every step that the US will raise not only its concerns, but those of its allies and partners in the region against China. Now, China's actions in the past year, aggression in the South China Sea, trade war with Australia for raising the coronavirus inquiry, incursions as well at the line of actual control against India, have also played into this particular narrative. And the result, you might say, was in fact preordained. But even by those standards, the meeting was acrimonious. And it was right from the start, even while the press was still in the room. Now, Mr. Blinken began by speaking of the international rules-based order. He publicly raised Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan, cyber attacks, and what he called economic coercion by China. Mr. Yang replied back that the US was in no position to speak as it quote-unquote topples regimes around the world. He accused the US of stifling minorities internally. He referred to the Black Lives Matter protests as well. And this back and forth, remember, normally it just takes a few minutes while the press is in the room. This back and forth actually lasted an hour, including translations, before the press was ushered out and the discussions actually began. So what are then the likely outcomes of this public clash between the US and China? To begin with, while it may have been hoped that this airing of grievances publicly would actually be a clearing of the air, it is unlikely that the reset that China had spoken about a short while ago is expected for the foreseeable future. Secondly, trade issues seem to have been relegated to the side because of all these other concerns that were listed. And after a phase one trade deal that the two countries signed in January last year, it remains to be seen when phase two of that trade deal between them to stop the tariff war between them can actually be taken forward. Remember, according to one study last year, in June, it was estimated that the US-China trade war and the sanctions could actually cost the world about $600 billion. That's certainly a worry. Thirdly, we could still see areas of cooperation. So areas like climate change, the fight against coronavirus, helping a global economic review, helping their regions get back on their feet, even Afghanistan, where the two sides have had some very important conversations as part of a troika with Russia. The US policy, remember, has been that they want ties with China. They want the relationship with China to be competitive when it should be, collaborative when it can be, and adversarial when it must be. But it remains to be seen just what those areas of cooperation will be. We are, however, likely to see, and this is the fourth impact, an increasing drawing of battle lines between Washington and its allies on one side and Beijing and its main ally Russia and others on the other, particularly when it comes to the Indo-Pacific and Eurasia. And it is for this reason that Mr. Blinken's travels to in the region Prior to the meeting, as well as a planned visit by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to Beijing, after the talks, both are very, very significant meetings. And why are they particularly, why is all of this US-China clash particularly significant for India? Remember, India's two biggest trading partners are China and the United States in that order. China at about $77 billion last year, the US at $75.9 billion. And a full-blown trade war between them will affect the Indian economy as well, especially if India is asked to make choices between them. India does still import heavy machinery from China, telecom equipment, and all of this has led to a $40 billion bilateral trade deficit with Beijing. With the US, the deficit is in India's favor, but trading ties are equally important. Now, strategically, these choices could actually affect India's supplies from other countries, particularly Russia, with the US making it clear that importing Russian defense equipment like the S-400 missile defense system will attract sanctions. The US could also withhold high-tech technology transfers from if India does not comply. Remember, India has its own list of grievances with China, particularly after what we saw in the past year. And on the other hand, it has a deepening partnership with the United States. Even so, it has made it clear that it doesn't want to be part of any alliances. That's something we saw after the violent clashes in Galwan. We heard External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar say that himself. Finally, we do expect that the US-China clash will affect India at the multilateral level. Remember, along with the Quad on one side, it is also a member of groupings like RIC, the Russia, India, China, or BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, as well as the SCO, all of which include China. And we spoke a little bit about that last week when we discussed the Quad. The US-China war is also going to mean that India has to walk a tightrope when it comes to the UN Security Council, where India is a non-permanent member, as the split between the US, UK, and France on one side, the Western world, and Russia, China grows wider. We certainly saw that over the past month in Myanmar. Now, if you're seeking to read more about the US-China tensions, do log on to our website, www.thehindu.com. We also have a podcast this week with Beijing correspondent Anand Krishnan speaking to Washington correspondent Sriram Lakshman, as well as US-based expert Tanvi Madan. We also have some book recommendations for you. There's Graham Allison's book called Destined for War, about whether the Thucydides trap between the two countries is really inevitable. Kishore Mehbubani has a book called Has China Won? On the battle for primacy between the two. And then there is Henry Kissinger's, and his book is called On China. And remember, he is the man who 50 years ago actually opened the way for the US's ties with China. We do hope you'll enjoy reading them. Do join us again, and do please keep writing in. From the team at Worldview, thanks for watching.